Hey everybody, welcome to CrazyTechLab, and we have another Slim fan review for you today. It is from Alpenfohn and this is the Jetstream Slim. It's a 120mm slim fan and it comes off the back of quite a few new releases of slim fans in the market over the last year or so. I've got a whole bunch here that I have been testing, and you can see the results in my other videos as well to see how they compare against some of the best slim fans out there for your small form factor PCs. So this fan, just looking at the specifications, 1800 RPM maximum speed. That's pretty much the same as most of the other ones out there, such as the new Flex 2 slim fan from Scythe, and also the best fan out there right now, which is the Silverstone Air Slimmer 120 RGB. That's by far the best fan in terms of performance out there. And this has a similar RPM, so it is going directly up against the Silverstone. It's going to be very interesting to see how they compare. Now, in terms of pricing, here in the UK and in Europe, it's around €15, £15, so it's very, very good value for a slim fan. There aren't that many new ones that are cheaper. In the US though, you're going to struggle to get it for less than $40, so it's quite a markup in the US, just because I think this is a European focused brand, but it could potentially be worth looking at if you can somehow import it from another company or via Case King. So some super interesting testing that we've got to get through today, but don't forget to like and comment on this video. It always helps just punch me up the algorithm. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification button, because you'll be notified when I have all these new reviews coming out, as well as a 140mm slim fan group test. So don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and let's crack on with the review. So I always like to have a quick look in the box of fans to see what you actually get. Pretty scarce accessory pack here, just a bunch of screws, but we do get some 632 radiator screws to mount this slim fan to your radiator, because of course radiators, whether they're slim or full size, don't come with the right size fans to fit one of these things to your case, because this fan is slimmer than your average fan, which means that the standard radiator screws will go straight through here, straight into your radiator, and end up burying themselves into the fins and cooling channels, potentially causing leaks. And I've been there and done that, so definitely don't use the standard radiator fans with these things. Now, the 632 screws are okay for some radiators, but not all of them. So AlphaCool, for example, uses M3 screws. They are not compatible with these screws here. So the 632 screw, good for radiators such as XSPC and EK water blocks, I think, but you just need to make sure that they're going to be compatible with your particular radiator, or to source your own slim fan. So other screws in the box, obviously the standard fan screws, and that is pretty much it. As I mentioned earlier, 1800 RPM with this fan, and it is 16mm thick, so not quite 15mm, but that's primarily because of the anti-vibration corner mounts here, just the material, the rubber material, protruding a little bit above the fan frame. So apart from that, it's your standard slim fan, and we'll move on now and see how it performs. Moving on to the graphs now then, and if you don't want to trawl through all the massive data and graphs that are coming up, then these are the graphs for you, because what I've done here is basically got an at-a-glance view for you as to how this fan has done compared to the others. So the overall score, for example, is simply a total of where the fan sits in each graph. So basically, wherever the fan sits in each graph, it gets a score from 1 to 5, depending on where it sits. So the higher the score here, the better the fan has done overall. So the Alpenfohn Jetstream doing pretty well overall, one of very few fans to score 50 points. And as we can see, the price kind of middle of the road, given that this thing doesn't have any RGB lighting or any other significant features other than noise dampened vibration or anti-vibration mounts, that kind of thing. But most fans have that these days. So €17. Unfortunately, in the US, it has a price of over $40, which means that it's absolutely not worth it. Bit of a shame there that it's not available in the US, but it's just one of those things. Alpenfohn clearly being a more European-focused company. So around £15 here in the UK, about €17, so reasonable value for money. The value score, literally the score divided by the price. So obviously there are plenty of fans that cost a lot less than the Jetstream, but the fact it has a fairly high score means that it sits about mid-table in terms of value. Moving on to the airflow results now then, and despite having a speed of 1800 RPM, it's not the fastest out there, but it's certainly a match for other high-performing fans such as the Silverstone SST AS120B or Air Slimmer, the fan at the top of the graphs. It really doesn't produce a lot of airflow, and there is a reason for that we'll get to in a minute, mainly low noise for the actual RPM. But if you're looking for a high airflow fan, this is definitely not it. So I would maybe be a little bit concerned about strapping it to 30mm radiators or relying on it for your sole source of airflow or something like that, unless you're in a non kind of mission critical environment where you're just adding an extra fan or something like that. But we'll see how it performs in other results in just a second. But this is pretty much the same at every speed. When we normalize the RPMs, 1000 RPM, it's pretty low in terms of airflow. The same goes for 1500. Full speed, pretty much the same. So there are plenty of other fans that offer more airflow. Moving on to the noise results now then, and we have 3 different sets of results, and these are at 1500 RPM, which is roughly a mid-speed. We have 1000 RPM, which is roughly equivalent to just above idle speed, and also full speed. So full speed, obviously the fans are all going to be spinning at different RPMs, because each fan, well, not each fan, but most fans have spin at different speeds to others. But here at the maximum speed, which should be 1800 RPM, which is actually the same as a lot of other fans here. So the Silverstone Air Slimmer 120 RGB at the bottom, the SST AS120B, that also has a maximum speed of 1800 RPM. The Alpenfohn produces just 48 decibels, whereas the Silverstone produces 59. So the Silverstone is significantly louder at the same RPM. And as we can see, the Alpenfohn Jetstream performing really, really well when we fix the RPM speed of all the fans, producing by far the lowest amount of noise of any fan at any speed. Moving on to the CPU temperature results now then, and these were obtained by strapping each fan to a radiator in a custom liquid loop, cooling a Core i5 10600K at stock speed. So some very real world results here. So we have some pretty average and low results for the Alpenfohn Jetstream here. It just doesn't produce a lot of airflow at any of these speeds, and 1000 RPM it does seem to struggle a lot compared to a lot of the other fans. Now 1500 RPM, a better result, 80 degrees, but there were a couple of fans that offered lower results still by a couple of degrees, and the same was true at full speed as well. If you're interested in the noise normalized testing, well, unfortunately we only have one result here because the fan was so quiet at full speed it didn't actually get to 50 dBA, which was going to be my second graph for these fans and is the only other noise result that I have results for. So unfortunately we've had to get rid of that graph and focus on 44 dBA instead. And if you want a fan that produces the most airflow at a particular noise, this fan does seem to be very, very good, at least at 44 dBA, producing nearly 1 meter-second of airflow, which was even better than the Silverstone Air Slimmer 120 RGB, which came in second. So the subjective sound quality is also superb. There isn't really another fan that is better, and this fan outperforming most of the other ones in the table. Just a really, really pleasant fan to sit next to, even at full speed. The final set of graphs are the airflow to noise ratio. So this differs from most of the other graphs in that we're basically looking for maximum airflow for lowest noise. So a fan has to do well in both of those results to kind of come in the top 3 here. So where we're seeing the Silverstone Air Slimmer 120 RGB, yeah, it wasn't the quietest fan on test, but it wasn't the loudest either. It still did pretty well in terms of the noise levels, but it offered exceptional cooling as well. So here, the Alpenfohn Jetstream, yeah, it's a really, really quiet fan. It does produce a lot of airflow as well at some noise levels, but the problem we have is that it doesn't overall produce a lot of airflow. In fact, the reason why it's so quiet is because it is generally not digging into the air, creating that turbulence, and offering very good airflow as a result. So even so, we've got some pretty good results here. Full speed and 1500 RPM, it sits mid-table in terms of airflow to noise ratio. ratio. So it is still producing a decent amount of airflow for each spin of the fan blade, basically. That does tend to trail off at about 1000 RPM, where the airflow just kind of takes that big dip. And even though the fan was extremely quiet, it's still producing not a lot of airflow there. So that's just something to bear in mind. So what do we make of the Alpenfohn Jetstream Slim then? Well, if you just want to stick a slim fan into your case and not have to worry about noise levels, then this is the fan for you. The Jetstream is supremely quiet at all speeds, with the trade-off that there isn't much airflow. So it's not catastrophic, it's kind of middle table or just under that. So if you want a fan that's going to really perform well on radiators or heat sinks and that kind of stuff, will generate a lot of airflow, keeping your PC case cool, then this probably isn't the best option out there. This is much more for a noise sensitive person like me, for example. I do like this fan because of those low noise levels. But in terms of the airflow, the lack of it means that its noise to airflow ratio is often quite low. So again, just make sure that you bear that in mind, that this fan isn't going to outperform any of the higher performing fans out there. The Silverstone Air Slimmer 120 RGB or the Scythe Kaze Flex 2, for example, those fans generally offering more airflow. So in terms of pricing, it's not too expensive, but 17 euros here in Europe or £15 here in the UK. It's reasonable. The Silverstone is only a couple of bucks more, so that is probably the fan that I would go for. No RGB lighting on this one either, so 17 euros is reasonably expensive for a non-RGB slim fan, but obviously you are getting an exceptionally quiet fan with great noise quality as well, I should add. The actual noise quality, which isn't decibels, it's just my subjective view of the noise quality. There's no horrible drone or tone to the fan, it's just pure airflow, and it's a pleasure to sit next to, even at 1800 RPM. So US peeps, unfortunately, you're a bit out of luck because the only place I could find this thing was on Amazon, and it's 40 bucks a fan. There is a triple pack, but you're not really saving anything. It's still well over 100 bucks for 3 of these. So not really worth it in the US, and you can find, unless you can find somewhere to import it for less than half the price, because otherwise there are just plenty of other options out there. So well done to Alpenfohn for creating a great fan, and don't forget to check out the buy links below and affiliate links and all those kind of things to check out where you can buy this thing from. And don't forget to check out my other slim fan reviews and slim fan group test. There's dozens of these things out there now, so definitely worth checking them out if you're building a mini ITX PC or you're thinking of strapping them to a cooler or radiator. There is a huge performance gap between the best ones out there and the worst ones. And we also have lots more reviews, both of our 120mm and 140mm slim fans coming to the channel. Loads more content as well coming up, so don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to this video and my channel, and we will be back very, very soon. Thanks for watching.